You're probably aware at this point about the whole Huawei debacle. The US has banned all of their companies from engaging in business with Huawei without a license. That means Google's services for Huawei phones will have to come to an end, Huawei won't be able to use Intel processors in their laptops, and even Microsoft will have to suspend selling Windows licenses again for use in Huawei laptops. And this really is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a seismic blow for Huawei. Over the past couple of days, I've watched tons of videos on what this means for people with Huawei phones and the like. Will they get updates? That kind of thing. Though while that is important, I'm way more interested in the bigger picture. Should we feel bad for Huawei, or have they just brought this on themselves? And what are the long-term ramifications of such a move by the US? So that's what I'll be investigating in this video. Maltronics.com is where you can find the latest of hacker hardware, from Wi-Fi deauthors to Arduino keystroke injectors, Wi-Fi keyloggers, and USB protectors. It is run by myself, so do give it 2 minutes of your time. You're guaranteed to like our tech. Maltronics.com, link is in the description. Huawei was founded in 1987 by this guy, Ren Zhengfei, with only $3,400. Like a true entrepreneur, he started at the bottom of the food chain. His business? Reselling imported telephone equipment. He and his team sought to reverse engineer this equipment and build a domestic Chinese telecoms giant that could ultimately replace foreign competitors. Fast forward to 2019, and their meteoric growth now sees them selling phones, solar panels, 5G telecoms equipment. The list really is extensive, and they currently employ 80,000 people in R&D alone. Samsung, their closest smartphone rival, has 63,000 people in R&D. Huawei has now overtaken even Apple to become the world's second largest smartphone company. So what's the deal? Why is there such a fuss over Huawei? I mean, they just sell phones, right? What's the concern? Well, it's complicated. The issue I want to look at, which for sure played a part in this decision, is security. The next generation of mobile networks is waiting to be built, and Huawei has an advantage. They're more than a year ahead of their rivals when it comes to their equipment. They're also a hell of a lot cheaper, so naturally, many companies want Huawei to set up their 5G networks. Though this is where it gets problematic. You see, Huawei arguably doesn't have the greatest track record when it comes to security. In 2012, the African Union HQ building was built using Chinese financial aid. China pledged $200 million to build these headquarters. Everything was built by China, including a state-of-the-art computer system. Now, I think you can tell where this is going. It was later discovered that this state-of-the-art Chinese computer system had been compromised, and that confidential data was being siphoned off to Shanghai every single day for 5 years. Who built this compromised computer system? Huawei. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean they were complicit, of course, but for China to front $200 million to build a facility for the African Union, only then for it to come to light that not only was data being stolen, but also listening devices had been installed in walls and desks, standard stuff. Whilst not being proof that Huawei was involved, it does raise a lot of questions. When it comes to Huawei's telecommunication equipment, the West have been very suspicious for a long time. In 2005, Huawei was given a contract in the UK to modernize Britain's telephone network. There was so much suspicion that the UK made Huawei pay for a lab so that British intelligence agents could comb through Huawei's hardware and software, looking for anything untoward. After 8 years of this lab searching high and low for dubious Chinese backdoors, nothing was found. Though that hasn't quelled Huawei's critics, however. They argue what's to stop Huawei from introducing backdoors in the future via software updates when the West has become complacent. Though I'll be charitable here, maybe it's the case that Huawei's lackluster security reputation may not necessarily be malicious, but just very naive. A UK government report published this March suggests that code in Huawei's products is a buggy spaghettified mess. In particular, one piece of sample code contained 70 copies of 4 different versions of OpenSSL. OpenSSL, if you're not familiar, is essentially a software library that provides a means for secure communications, though not so secure if you're using out-of-date, vulnerable versions. However, what I find most concerning is that China recently issued a law which gives state intelligence agents the ability to demand cooperation from Chinese companies. For me, this really was the nail in the coffin. We don't know what our relationship with China will look like in the long term, so whilst the possibility exists for Huawei to turn on a dime, I do think we should at least be cautious. It has been pointed out, however, that China apparently encourages their companies to follow the local laws of the countries in which they operate. Even if this is true, I can't see this superseding their espionage law. We have to remember that China is a single-party state. What the party wants, the party gets. I'd hazard a guess that there is no vibrant democratic conversation in China over state-sponsored spying like there is here in the West. Early on in Huawei's journey, it gains an important contract to build the first national telecommunications network for the People's Liberation Army of China. One employee apparently described the deal as small in terms of our overall business, but large in terms of our relationships. Now, whether this means Huawei just expanded their base and gained a few more business contacts, or whether they're in bed with the one-party state, is anyone's guess. But it should be said that Huawei CEO Ren Zhengfei does have links to the Communist Party. He himself used to be a member of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Now, do I think Huawei in of itself poses a tangible security threat? No, I just don't. However, if Huawei is potentially at the beck and call of the Chinese state, I think it's a different story. And that's the point. Do you want to potentially provide a kill switch or backdoor to China? In principle, no, though I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Are these trumped up allegations? I asked you guys on Instagram and you were pretty torn. If you have anything to add, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Are you looking for PCB fabrication or even assembly for some of your projects? Having used them for a couple of years, I recommend PCBWay. Their assembly fee has just dropped from $88 to only $30 for a limited time only. I simply would not recommend them if I didn't use them myself. They really help support the channel, so go check out PCBWay in the description. So thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, do hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more hacking videos. Have a good one.